Welcome everyone, my name is Ishan Arya from the Esports Club and we've got a really exciting day for you here. I'm very lucky to be joined by Steve Long. He is the Executive Vice President and General Manager for Intel, Asia Pacific and Japan. How's it going, Steve?
It's going well.
It's going well. Well, it's not just him. We've got two more very familiar faces for our Indian gaming audience. Xyaa, one of the most popular content creators around, and of course, the voice of Indian esports, Spero himself. How's it going, guys?
It's going great now that you have introduced us that well.
Yeah.
So, we're all here because, the Indian gaming ecosystems come a long way since all of us started, and there's a lot of exciting things happening around. So we're just going to have a quick chat of, how we recall that journey, right? Where it's been, where it's going, and, how, of course, Intel's going to be playing a big role in shaping this journey, which is going to be, probably the first introduction to PC gaming for a large part of the Indian audience, right? So we've all got our own origin stories with PC gaming, right? From back when it was just a few pixels on screens. So it's come a long way, right?
It has come a long way. Actually, to share and actually to draw the parallel on where I think India is and how people are entering the gaming community here through phones. My experience was, remember the Atari or the Intellivision? That resonates. I used to get blisters from playing. We played a track and field game, and you would literally go to friends' houses, and the only way you could move faster was to put your palm of your hand on top of the joystick and move it back and forth to the point where you'd get blisters on it. And that was my introduction into gaming, was through the Atari, and made my way in. I was lucky enough when I was probably about 8 years old or so, my dad, and there was word processing units that were, you could type, that was an electric typewriter, or there was PCs, the initial PC. My dad purchased a PC for our house. He used it for word processing. I discovered gaming. But they were really basic games, like the early kind of Magic Candle was my first game, if that means anything to you.
They were revolutionary for the time, right?
Very revolutionary. They were role-playing games. These were like some of the initial...
The Oregon Trail?
Oregon Trail?
Yeah, was the text-based RPG.
Exactly, where you would put a command in, and it would come back something that you had a choice and something that you would do, and that's just kind of. But that was early days of it. But I see the indie ecosystem kind of going through a similar experience. It's not Ataris and maybe hands that are injured, but it is through the mobile device, right?
And PCs.
And making it up to a better experience, which is where I think Intel can help people actually accomplish a lot more. And there's a whole industry around that I know we want to talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Xyaa? Where did you start your, gaming journey and PC in particular?
Yeah, so I remember my first ever gaming memory was, you remember the 999 NES consoles? You had the big bulky cassette that you had to place.
Well, you had love.
Yeah. So I remember that, and then I had a similar story to Steve. Like my father also had bought a PC for work purpose, but then I used it for gaming. He was also subscribed to a magazine, and they had like gaming CDs weekly. Yeah, and so I used to always like. They used to come with a software CD and a gaming CD. My dad used to use the software CD. Yeah, demos.
Floppy disk.
No,
floppy.
You're CDs.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm from the CDs era.
Mine was floppy.
But my dad
remember
did
floppies.
have floppy disks. Yeah, I used to remove all the parts of the floppy disks. And so that's like my origin story to gaming.
What about you, Spero?
Well, mine was different. To be honest, I was that naughty kid who used to go to the uncles and ask for the mobile devices so that I can play Space Fighter and all that kind of games. But I was not that lucky. I got my first PC when I was in college. Okay. So it was at a later stage. I loved playing. I think in school I played Dave. That was my first PC gaming experience. Dave was the go-to game, the solitaire game. It was also a really good game. But it was a fun journey, and I'm looking forward to what's next coming for gaming and all.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also in a similar boat. My dad was a photographer, so it was an industry that was evolving fast, right? So he got a computer, and then he felt that he saw the potential, and he's like, you know what, you can study through this. And then I got games like Reader Rabbit and Math Blaster to help me, get through early days.
Yeah.
And from there he found out about Age of Empires, and he's like, you should play this. And I was like, okay. I'm like, there's a collector's edition with a book. He's like, yes. And then, while most people think video games don't really teach you much, I actually got a scholarship in school because I knew so much in world history just because of Age of Empires.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope a lot of younger parents are listening to you and they're going to teach their kids how to game. And then they can get scholarships as well, because I think gaming is the future.
I feel like gaming also teaches you, like, apart from like all the informative stuff, it also teaches you how to be a good team player, strategy.
Yeah, the social
and all
aspect
that.
of games, right? That's been something that's really driven it as an industry as a whole, right? Because you just meet the friends over a LAN party, get together at someone's house who had the console, right?
That's right. Well, I mean, I said my experience, the way I communicate now, I have 3 kids. 2 of them are my boys are out of the home. When they were teenagers inside the home, the way you could get them to open up was to go sit down. Now, they consoled and PC game, but they, on the console especially, I would sit in front of that with them. And the communication of just watching them even play, that's how I communicated. Then they would tell me about their day, tell me about things they were actually doing, because you're immersed in it, with them.
Yeah. But so India's going through this sort of amazing change, right, when it comes to what video games are doing, for Indians as a whole. Where do you guys, see that, how that landscape is moving along?
So when I started my actual career in gaming, when I started streaming, I think it was in 2018. There were barely any female creators or gamers.
It wasn't even a career option back then,
there was no career options. There were very limited opportunities. There weren't many events happening, so we can have casters. So there was no career opportunities as well, and there was zero government recognition. People used to think gaming is a waste of time. But now it is slowly changing.
Fast forward 5 years.
5 years, and now there's I am making a living out of gaming.
Wow.
Lots of people are making a career out of gaming, so it's and there's so many people also now. There's back when I started, I was like, wow, there's no competition. Now there's just competition and competition. It's good actually. It's good to see that.
No, it's definitely also become a lot easier, right? Internet's improved, so content creation, streaming, access to games much easier. Hardware has improved so much, right? If earlier, if you wanted to even think about streaming, you were like, oh shoot, it's gonna cost me, a few lakhs, right? Which is $3,000 to $5,000,
right?
Which 95% of people can't even think about
Especially
spending on something so niche, right? When I started my streaming journey, I was lucky enough to have a job in gaming media. But even then, I didn't have the money to put aside to create a streaming rig. So when this new generation of consoles launched that allowed you to stream from the console, right? That's when I started as one of the first streamers in the country. And then slowly from there, when I was like, all right, there are PCs that I can afford that are good enough to play and stream, right? Otherwise, you need to play on a console, get a capture card, and then get a device to stream. So everything's evolved so much; it's become so much easier. And for the generation that started with mobiles, you can now stream from mobiles.
So the best thing about gaming development is, from being a fun activity, it's now a career for many, and that is something that fascinates me. Because when I was young, I used to play games for fun. Now I play games as a profession. I talk about games as a profession. Look at the last decade. It changed drastically. 10 years ago, it was nothing, and now there's a lot you can do. So a lot of people can come in, and gaming is not only you have to game. if you're not good at it, if you're an average gamer, but you still want to work in a gaming environment, there are companies, there are organizations, there are teams, you have to manage teams, just like sports.
Yeah.
Gaming is a sport now in India. It is recognized now.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Yeah, and just like you said, you don't necessarily have to be the best gamer to
Like
have a
me.
job in games, right?
Well, she's humble.
Yeah,
She's
I mean, coming from someone who's on, the national Counter-Strike team,
just got recruited by the India government
Yeah.
to go do representation, but
Yeah.
she's humble to say she's not the best. I like it.
it'll be really interesting to get your take, from an outside perspective, from a business perspective of, where the industry is in India.
Yeah, no, it's great listening to what they've said. I think it's more than nascent. It's here, right? I think there's India. We were looking at the numbers. There's over 350 million gamers in India today. For us, the PC gaming we still think is the best experience. I'll
Yeah.
ask y'all a little bit to profess that, and there's only about less than 10% of that 350 million are gaming on the best experience. Now, Intel, we look at numbers like that, and we're like, okay, that's super interesting. But more than just even the numbers, it's people that value the technology. At the end of the day, Intel is a technology provider, and the gaming community benefits from every single ounce of megahertz that we can put in, or frames per second that we can improve. Like, you'll benefit from it. And so for over 15 years, Intel's had a dedicated business unit focus, thousands of engineers that are dedicating their time to creating gaming products, which can provide a better experience, which gets to what you said. The hardware is caught up to where you can not only game, you can stream, you can record, you can do everything off of one single device now and not compromise an experience. And so we look at capabilities that we've done, we look at the ecosystem you talked about. We've been sponsoring tournaments now for also over a decade.
And content creators.
And content creators and broadcasters and getting us in. So we've been in the community, and I think it's a segment that's going to continue to explode. So we're extremely excited about it, more so because it's not only nascent, it's here in India, but with a massive upside potential to grow. And if your government does things like, embrace it in learning and ways to engage population, ways to communicate, I think we're just at the beginning, right?
Yeah, right. So, from, an esports organization, an events perspective, from a content creator's perspective, from a, caster and gamer perspective, right? It's so much happening, so much opportunity. And of course, brands like Intel are at the forefront of creating that as a platform for gamers. So, definitely we've got a few very exciting years ahead of us.
I think so. Now, I got a question for these guys, though. So, so to your audience, I'm sure some of your audience experiences, like we said, like I did on the Atari, they're on a phone, maybe having some gaming experiences, and they're following you. Why go to a PC? Like, what are they missing out on if they're just doing it on a phone? Like, why do you game on a PC?
I had started gaming on a PC, so I relate to that kind of gaming more. I still remember like the PC that my dad bought. It was an Intel PC. So as a kid growing up, I've just seen that Intel logo on any device, like PC, laptops. Intel was always there. And I feel so lucky that after I grew up and now I'm partnered with Intel. So that was like a really good thing. So I guess that is what makes me love PC gaming more, because Intel was always there, and then like I've just had that experience always. That's why I can't relate to mobile gaming as much as maybe anybody else who started with mobile gaming. So yeah, for me that was. Yeah.
So you're team blue in the heart.
Yeah,
team
always
blue from the heart.
since a kid.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, talking about someone who started with mobile gaming,
Yeah.
I started
Yeah.
with mobile
Yeah.
gaming,
Yeah.
but I have to tell you, like when I play on a PC, the gaming experience that matters is different as compared to when I play on a mobile phone. Absolutely different graphic structure, absolutely different games, and those games are much more immersive to play in,
yeah.
and much more expandable to play with. So I love playing PC games. I have a story like in 2013, I started, as I said, I got a PC when I was in college. So I used to play FIFA 2012
Yeah.
with my friends offline.
All-time favorite.
In my living room every
Yeah.
single day with
Yeah.
my friends. You know, we used to play cricket in the evening, then we used to play FIFA. So cricket and football all together. But now I can play with those friends who are settled all abroad, all over the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
online, and that fascinates me so much that I can still play the same game
Yeah.
with those friends I used to play offline with,
Yeah.
and now I can play with them online. That is crazy, and that is something that fascinates me, and that technology is mind-boggling for me.
Hard to do that on a phone, huh?
You can't do that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, back to like, it just builds a community, right? Like my kids grew up moving around, and what you just said resonated. Their friends and how they have friends in Europe, they would actually follow the sun, right? Literally the sun, the day,
Yeah.
where their friends in Europe would get online. They were about to go to bed, then they would go to bed. Their friends in Korea would wake up and continue gaming like that, and they do. It builds a bond and a community that continues.
Yeah.
When I had started streaming, I was extremely introverted. I was very shy. That is why actually I started like gaming and streaming, you know, so I could come out of my shell a bit more and, you know, talk to more people and be more like, you know, socially active, you know, because I was like very introverted and very shy. And then, you know, streaming, you just stay at home, you play games on the PC and you stream yourself, and then people can come and talk to you. So that's how I also improved my own personality. So I think gaming also played a big role in that.
I feel communications, like I'm a caster. For me, if I need to say something, it should be clear. And I should not be an introverted guy.
Yeah.
But I was very much introverted when I was in a school or college. I was not taking part in any cultural activities. But now I can speak in front of an audience. Once I was streaming, 14,000 people were on my stream at the same time. And I was talking with them.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that you can speak with people.
Yeah.
You can communicate well. You can be a better person in front of them. You can, you know, explain yourself in front of them. That happened to me because of gaming. So I owe it to gaming.
And that is all made possible by Intel, you know. Like,
There we go.
without it, there would be, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be to end with that. Yeah, our 13th gen processors. If you haven't tried it, get out there and get your hands on them. We've got everything from processing units to ARC, which is our graphics GPUs, to even all sorts of form factors that you can play on. Whether you're a desktop person, whether you like the small desktop, which we call the next unit of computing, the NUCs, where you can transport them and carry them around. Whether you want the big monster notebook, you know, foldables, all sorts of stuff. So. Go, hopefully we get all of you casual gamers onto a real gaming experience.
Yeah.
And then you can do what these folks have done, and maybe I can and someday learn to try to be cool like all
You're
of you.
already cool.
You're already very
No,
cool,
I think we're definitely there. You don't have to try. But no, thank you so much, Steve. You know, it's been an absolute pleasure, you know, having you in India and all the great work Intel's doing for and with the community. And you know, Xyaa, Spero, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we look forward to more exciting stuff from Intel.
Thank you guys.